Hello. So I wanted to share today with you the project I'm working on at the moment, which is also the very first project that I started from the Tonalama. So to begin, I am Chico Mates-Quinley. I am an artist in Mexico City. I'm Mexican American and I'm mixed race. And I've been making a new version of the Aztec calendar, the Tonalama, for the last 12 years. So this right here is the marriage almanac, which is the almanac that describes your relationships and when to get married and the person that you're going to be with. So this is not original to me. This comes from the almanac as it was originally painted at Tonalama, and I've been working on this project for the last 12 years. So this was the very first set of almanacs that I painted, which I partly did because I understood them well, more or less at the time, and because it was approachable. It's there's only 4 pages in total, and I didn't feel overwhelmed with what I was doing. However, because I painted them so long ago, and I am now, 12 years later, finally writing all of the text and getting everything together so that I can publish it, hopefully relatively soon, I decided to repaint one of the pages, which is this page right here, which is the third or perhaps the fourth or the first of the pages that are in here. So I'll show them to you real quick. So the almanacs begin with this section, which describes what your relationship is going to be like with your partner. So this page, and the third page describe your relationship with your partner. And the last page, which is right here, tells you dates on which you should get married and what that would be like. So the part where it describes your relationships is read thus. So everybody has a name and a number according to when you were born in the Aztec calendar, the Mexica calendar. So for example, my name is Chico Mates-Quintley. Amatlapantli, the third part of my name, is personal. And in my case, it means bird wing and also sheet of paper, which is a name I chose for myself, in which I thought it reflected my, how I view the world as an artist. The first part of my name, Chico Mates-Quintley, means 7 dog. I was born on the day 7 dog. And everybody's born with that number and that name. So you could be, for example, 2 flower, 5 wind, 13 reed. You could be always a name and a number, and that would be your name, in the pre-Hispanic system. So in this one right here, in the first of the almanacs, the way you discover what you're going to be like in relationship with your partner is according to that number. So you add the 2 numbers together, and you come up with a third number, which is right here. So for example, if I was born in the day 5 wind and my partner was 5 flower, we would be 10. And so that's indicated right here with in Mayan numerals, 5 and 5. Each bar is a 5, so that's 10. And so this is describing the destiny of people born on the number 10. So in this case, it would be Makwilsoshit, who is the Lord of Song, Music, Dance, and Games. And here is a manifestation of Xochiquetzal, the goddess of love, and they're playing musical instruments. So it's mostly good. However, they're under a they would inspire one another artistically. They would be a couple who would be creative, and they would inspire one another's creativity in their relationship. However, above there is a solar eclipse happening. There's a spider descending from the side, and at the bottom there is the corn has been spilled, and a coral serpent is emerging from the corn at her feet. So it foretells a kind of a destiny which is ambiguous. So there's parts of it that are good, there's parts of it that are bad. The coral serpent represents sexuality, so it could be that the partners will cheat on each other, or one of them will cheat on the other. The corn means that they're not going to husband their resources very well. They might not be the best at housekeeping and that kind of thing. So it's not telling you that it's going to be a disaster, but it is telling you that this relationship is probably going to have some issues. Then when you look at other numbers, for example here, and the number 2. So if I was born on the day, say 1 flower, my partner was born on the day 1, I don't know, monkey, this would be our destiny, which is really, really bad. So it's like the lords of death are killing children. There's a coral serpent emerging from a broken vessel. It's basically describing a really, really terrible fate. So there. Oh, and then if you look at the number 3, it's generally a pretty good fate. However, a coral serpent is emerging from his loincloth, which is a symbol of sex, and she's weeping. But between them is abundance. So that relationship will not be without its problems. Maybe like the other one, a bit of temptation, but it will be a largely successful relationship. So you go through them number by number, and it tells you every possible combination of the numbers 13 and 13, which the two people could be. So it goes up to 26, which is at the bottom right here. So 26, let's see, right there is a really dark, sad destiny. They've grown old together. Their relationship has had longevity, but their children are dying, and they have seen a great deal of suffering in their lives. So, in the pre-Hispanic era, people didn't marry for love. Our ancestors didn't marry because they loved each other. They married because their parents decided who would be good for them to get married. They were matchmakers. Weddings were arranged. Hopefully, you would fall in love with your partner, but that wasn't really what marriage was about. Marriage was about having children and supporting the family, like the larger extended family. And that's the way marriage was seen. So like this book was something that, at the time, your parents would go to the matchmaker and the priest, and they would consult the books, determine according to the day you were born and the day of your prospective partner whether you were it was a good match, and if it was, then you could proceed to get married. And if it wasn't, then the whole thing would end there. Obviously, we do things the opposite way now. It's like we get married, or we find our partner, and we're not going to like check what number they are and whether we're actually compatible or not. But that's the way this almanac would be used nowadays. It's like when you find your partner, you look it up, see what you're like together, and it tells you what prospective problems there could be between you and them. So a way to fix this, more or less, is with the third almanac, which is right here. So this is the very, very first almanac I painted 12 years ago when I first started doing this whole thing. So at the time, I was including text where it says right here, it's the marriage almanac. Underneath it says the columns that you're supposed to refer to. I decided I don't like that anymore. I would rather not have Western characters in a pre-Hispanic book. And I also just think that the style is a little like, I'm not in love with it. It looks fine from a distance, but when I get close, I just don't like it. So I started repainting it. And this is what I've been working on for the last few days. I've been rewriting it, the text that goes with it, and repainting it. Only this page. I'm not going to repaint the other pages. So that this one will be ready to publish, and just a set of almanacs in a month or two, I think. So the way this page is used is to determine the day of your marriage. So in the pre-Hispanic era, everything would have been done backwards from the way it's done today, but the idea would have been to the matchmaker and your parents together determine who is a good match for you based on the day that you were born, the number of that day. And then having determined that, you would go to the calendar and decide with the calendar what is the day that's best to get married. So based on this, you can determine what are the problems you might have as a couple, and use this to balance that. Or, so like if you have something negative about your relationship, then you can use this to set it right. Or if you already have a really, really good relationship, where there are some in the other almanac that are basically like there's almost no problems, then this would reinforce that. However, if you get married on a bad day, it could reinforce the problems. So I haven't finished painting this version of this page yet, but for example, this is the very first set of pages. No, I'm sorry, right here. This is the very first set of pages, and it begins with the very first day of the calendar, which is alligator. So then it goes forward 7 days, which these are marked the 7 days right here. So for a 7-day period, these two gods, these two teteo, are the ones who are guiding the relationship. So in the case of this one, it is Tonacatecutli and Tonacasiwa. So this is Tonacatecutli right here, and this is Tonacasiwa, who is manifesting herself as Xochiquetzal, the goddess of love, and Tonacatecutli, who is the Lord of abundance. His name literally translates as the Lord of our flesh, the Lord of abundance. So on these days, Tonacatecutli and Tonacasiwa as Xochiquetzal are ruling the destiny of the marriage. They are weaving the fates of the two people together. They are underneath the sun, which will fill it with light and tonali. In the center is a vessel. If you notice, like all of them have vessels, and the vessel represents the womb of the woman. So this marriage would be fertile. They're giving birth to children, In the center is a flowering tree. The tree represents the relationship of the couple and their to society. So in this case, it's a flowering tree, poetry, creativity. These are jeweled necklaces, which are symbols of children. And then above, another symbol of children and a symbol of sacrifice. So this one is basically saying that if you get married on this set of days, your marriage will be blessed and tied together by Tonakatekuli Tonakasiwat as the goddess of love. The goddess of love will bless your marriage and it will be fruitful, and you will support and cherish one another. On the second set of days, it's not going to be so good. So here, beginning on this set of days, particular on the day water, and continuing for the next 7 days, you see Tlazoteo and Patecatl, she is the filth eater, the goddess of sexuality, who inspires vice and sin, like chaotic behavior, and he's the lord of Pulque. And between them is the vessel, which represents the womb, with a skull. So they're infertile. And between them are these two intertwined coral snakes, which are symbols of sexuality. So it could mean like a disordered sexuality and an unhealthy relationship between this couple. So this is basically telling you that this is a bad set of days to get married. However, both of them are wearing the kopili, which is the headdress of Quetzalcoatl. So here he also has a kopili, and he wears the mashla, the loincloth of Quetzalcoatl, and they both have feathered headdresses of quetzal plumes. So what it's saying is that these are not good days to get married. It's unrecommendable. It's not recommended. However, it's not totally awful either. It's like there's a story of Quetzalcoatl that Tezcatlipoca, the Lord of Destruction, tricked him into drinking 5 cups of pulque. Pulque is the alcoholic drink that was the primary alcoholic drink consumed in Mexico before the conquest. So having done that, he proceeded to act out in a drunken way that was really terrible, and it basically ruined his kingship, and he abandoned the city and went to the coast near Veracruz, where he set himself on fire and was reborn. He was purified and reborn as the morning star, and the ashes became all of the beautiful birds that live in Mexico. So it's a story of a fall and a redemption. And this story is telling you that this couple probably isn't the best together. They might have troubles with addiction, with giving into, like they're not going to sacrifice for one another. Like they're going to do whatever that gives them their own personal pleasure, irregardless of their partner. However, through those activities, you fall, which allows you to rise again, to be reborn, to achieve redemption, which is the story of Quetzalcoatl, which is why they're wearing his regalia. So these aren't good days to get married. However, they're not totally disastrous. It's like there is a possibility of redemption. And as you go through them, each set of days tells you what's going to happen to you as a couple on the day you get married. So using the previous almanac, for example, let's say that the god and goddess of love are going to rule over your day. So love isn't an issue. However, you're going to be poor. Like you're dropping your vessel of corn, like water is washing everything away. So then you can get married, maybe not on this day, which is a day which is blessed by love. The goddess of love is literally there. But you might get married on this day, which is ruled by Tlaloc and Chachiulique, and they're offered vessels of corn, plenty, jade, valuable things. So like these would be days to encourage, in which the lords who are weaving the destiny of the marriage are weaving a destiny of material abundance. Here they're weaving creativity and love between the couple. And then here they're also weaving material plenty. They're the gods of corn, and they're assuring that you will never, you'll always have to eat. So basically that's like what I wanted to share for today. Later on when I finish painting it, I think I'm going to concentrate on just this page and the meaning of the different symbols and lords who rule here. Thank you very much. If you want to support me on Patreon, please do. I'm Corazon Mexica there, and support the work that I do. And I will finish painting this within a week or so. So thank you again very much. Goodbye.